own.
All right. Happy Friday, everybody. Welcome to the mobile app coaching live Friday. Man, the market's taking off today. We see the Dow Jones up over 1% right now. The NASDAQ, a little bit of a laggard behind it, but still up over 0.5%, 131 points to the upside. Nothing to mess around with. A lot of data coming out this morning. We have PCE data, slightly hotter than expected. But I think the momentum is mostly coming off. I saw on CNBC the deal with China might have been struck. There are some rumors on that deal when it comes to. Did I lose you, Clay? Let's see here. Oh, did I lose you, Clay?
Yeah, share your screen with me again. Sorry about that.
Let's see here. Just a moment. All right, request control. We got Clay in the background today. All right, there you are, Clay. All right. The Uber says, thank God it's Friday. Thank God, right? It's always a good one. But yes, it looks like I've been talking about the July high, the essays, written by Dr. Toledo in the past about a potential July high. I saw that coming to fruition. And it looks like we might get that, especially with some optimism around China and the tariff situation. I also did see in the article I was reading earlier on CNBC, rumors out that, another deal might be struck with India soon. So we'll see. But, essentially with that deal with China, they're going to ease their export restrictions on the rare earths. So I imagine, the UAMY, the USAR, probably, a little under pressure today. We'll take a look at those in a little bit. But semiconductors, that gives a lot of optimism and upside potential for the semiconductor space because a lot of those restrictions could potentially be lifted, generating revenue from within the Chinese market share. Let's see here. Low volume, Rod says. So just keep that in mind. Ryan, any thoughts on Palantir being down? I haven't even looked at Palantir today. It's been a pretty big hit. We'll take a look at it in just a moment when we go through the stocks here. But other than, individual stocks, you could see the sentiment of the market to the upside currently. Even the VectorVest composite showing that momentum throughout the day here. If we go to a one-day chart, you can see we're still trading at session highs here. Momentum follow through. I like what I see on a Friday afternoon here. Let's go to the Qs. As far as the Qs, still close to session highs. A little bit of retracement over the last few, trading minutes here. But otherwise, still a lot of optimism. We're seeing some follow through in the market here. Marvin said, yes, less dizzy. That was that was not fun yesterday. Normally when you pop your ears, you get a little, woozy maybe for 5 minutes. But that lasted several hours. So, shortly after yesterday's live stream, got some good medicine, some motion sickness medicine in me, some allergy medicine. Took a nap, and I feel much better today. So thank you, Marvin, for looking out for me there. Did you Disney? No, I did not Disney. I don't know what you mean by that, Jazz. What do you mean by Disney? But that being said, the DEW, we were close. I put that on your attention. I think it was late last week, early this week. We were close with that DEW signal and a lot of the major indices right at that 20-day EMA. But we got a nice pivot off of it. The DEW held up. So everything's working out for the bulls right now. Not even the primary wave signal is down. So we're getting a lot of optimism here. SoFi, oh man, Palantir, SoFi. Looks like there might be some big names out there, making some big moves according to John and Bill. So we're going to take a look at some of these stocks here. As I scroll down, do want to take a look at the color guard. You can see the price action on the color guard at 72.59 right now, much higher than it was 5 days ago. So we definitely got a buffer zone before, we have to worry about any kind of primary wave down situation. The only, yellow light to appear today is going to be the RT. So some of that upside momentum, not necessarily waning, but, a little breather in that momentum, pausing from 1.11. But still higher than it was 5 days ago at 1.06. Market nearing a top as the MTI hits 158. Ryan, from the Department of Redundancy Department, a China deal will not be lived up to by China per historic norm. Bill, I'm not going to speculate on what's going to happen there in the future. But the news from a China deal can give some optimism in the markets, at least for the short term. I imagine we can agree on that, right? If you think a China deal will at least give some optimism, potentially create that new high, July high scenario that I'm thinking of, put a 1 in the chat. If you think that this is false and you think we're about to get a pullback soon, put a 2 in the chat. When I say soon, probably within the next, by next week, right? I could see with the MTI so high, after the market gets some exuberance, maybe from whatever deals take place soon. But the big thing, in July to keep note of is that GDP data, that recession data, positive for market for sure. Yes, Bill. And think about it, July is next week. So we ain't got to be that positive for that long. Today, Monday is June 30th, July. So even if we hit that, that July high on July 1st, but I do have a feeling the markets might be getting a little nervous the closer to that, GDP data, because that could say we're in a recession, could say we're not in a recession, right? We're going to find out one way or the other here pretty soon. Market been in overbought territory for too long. Yes, it is overbought. I've said it before. The MTI, it's not the same as RSI, but you can kind of treat it similar. Just because you see a stock with an RSI of 80 doesn't mean it can't keep going up a little bit, right? It can keep ticking up, but it's just showing us that upside potential is being outweighed by downside risk, and that's where we're at with the MTI right now. So if you are, opening up new positions, just know that those positions, especially for swing trading, more shorter term trading kind of thing, might be shorter lived than if you had opened up positions, with the MTI back in, the 0.6s, 0.8s, wherever you felt comfortable getting into the market, back in April and May, right? So that information in hand, yes, I could see the market taking higher from this news, obviously. That's a huge deal, especially semiconductors. Again, that would probably be the space I would play if you're going to get bullish just because of that news alone. I don't know why, but the videos always are so quiet, even when I put it on the speaker. Really, Andrew? Have you tried adjusting the volume at the actual YouTube window? Anyone else have low volume on a lot of the videos? Just let us know. We can definitely, change some of the settings there. Nike is on the 200-day. Very interesting, a gap to like this. We're going to take a look at Nike. I'm pretty sure that was like the last big stock for this earnings quarter. I mean, next month will be a new round of earnings. You fade in and out, Ryan. Okay, good to know. Marvin says the sound is fine there. I have low flow shower heads, not low volume. Low volume early on here too. Videos are fine for me. Okay, we're getting mixed. So some of them are saying fine, some of them are saying a little low. Just check the volume settings on your, but we'll check the gain settings and some of the other volume settings on our end as well. Shall we stay in UAMY or sell? Depends when you bought it. Depends, We'll take a look at UAMY, but I've said it before, with the China deal, it's probably going to put pressure on UAMY and lift the semiconductors, and we'll put a watch list together and see exactly if that's playing out. But other than that, you can see the optimism here. Advances leading the charge here at 57% compared to the declines only at 32%. Now let's get some trade ideas here before we get your stock picks. Let's look at the high momentum stocks. These are still rocking and rolling here. I know we've been talking about, literally these stocks, a lot of these stocks in general, especially CRS, NRG, APH, Hood, right? Big movers here. Hood down a little bit today at 1.63%. But the other ones, up for the most part here. CRS leading. Oh, no, actually, it's not leading the chart. NRG, Energy leading the charge here at 4% to the upside. Big move there. You can see the follow through in that daily chart. So there's a lot of good plays here. Let's actually look at this one, this NRG. I want to see if there's still some value here. So it's right near our valuation. We value the stock at 183. We consider it fairly valued here. Slightly undervalued. But as far as the ratings, phenomenal ratings here. A lot of safety, a lot of value, relative value potential in there. High CI index. And it looks, I wonder if this one pays a dividend. Let's see here. There is a dividend here. The yield's at 1%. So if you like a dividend, if you like a rising stock, this might actually be a good play for you here. Now let's go back over to the, hit the back button here. There we go. Let's see what other things. hot industries right now. These are going to be some of the hottest industries out there. Steel has been at it for a while now. Again, CRS leading the charge when it comes to steel. We got ATI, Metallus, some other steel players here. CRS going to have the highest VST rating by far at 1.65. Overall value, safety, and timing. While ATI just comes in at 1.46. And you can see the loser there in the industry. GSM down actually today. So some momentum with that industry. Let's see what other industries we got here. Leisure, toys, games. This is one that not pops up too often. Nintendo, Hasbro, Roblox, Mattel, Jack Specific. All 5 of these stocks are trading in positive territory today. 4 out of the 5 have a favorable VST rating. I like what I see. I like what I see here. Thanks again for SoFi Thoughts. Calls flying this week. We'll take a look at SoFi here in just a moment. Zim is finally moving to the upside. Are those shipping stocks finally having a little potential in them? And I think as far as shipping, you know, if I had to guess, not only, does the Iranian conflict put a little bit of pressure on some of those shipping channels, but I've been seeing articles where, the ports on the West Coast, just like they did back in January, increase shipping numbers across the board here. So that way manufacturers and companies can get their products ashore before any kind of, tariffs were to take place. I know, I think that the reciprocal is July 9th. The 90-day pause, the big one, I think, was August. Again, but there are some, early reports that a deal could potentially be made. We'll see here as well, not only with China, but also with India. Now, let's see here. What other hot industries? That leisure looked pretty good. Computer networks. This was one been hot. Let's take a look at DGII. Now, that's a nice move to the upside. Let's click on the chart here. Let's go to 6 month. There we are, 6 month chart. Nice momentum to the upside since March here. You can see full body candlestick today, full body candlestick yesterday. The EMAs in our favor. The 3 is above the 8. Price action above the 20-day simple moving average. We do have a level of resistance coming into play soon here. So if you're holding this position, look at, for potential rejection at that level. We saw a rejection there on the last swing high. Otherwise, if we do get a breakthrough, could be a good entry point. Could be a good entry point on some confirmation here. Let's see here. Took a look at SFM. It was down big this morning. Shot out in the base and rallied up. A little nice day trade on SFM. SFM. All right. So that one actually looks pretty interesting. I do like this. Right. Earnings rather flat. Let's see what other industries are here. Let's try this electrical connectors. That's where APH is, and no surprise. We also got MEI, SITM, PRYMF. That's a new one for me. I haven't heard of that one. That one's up 11%, actually. Big mover on that one today. You can see very little volume here, so we're going to skip that one for now. Let's take a look at APH. We've been talking about this one for the last few weeks. It's still rocking and rolling. Price action still above the 20-day moving average. We could see the buy rating coming into this position when it was about $75. Nice, strong buy rating. If you're holding APH, the buy rating's still there. If it transitions to a hold, that's showing, a little bit of that upside momentum is waning. Bulls might be taking a breath. Depending on where you bought it at, you might be happy with your profits. But if it goes from a buy to hold, that's going to be my first, warning sign, right? Obviously, you can utilize the moving averages there. But if we lose that buy rating, that could potentially show that upside momentum waning a little bit. And if we look at RT relative timing here, very high rating on the RT relative timing as well. Let's see here. Let's go back. What other fish we can find here? Let's go to premium watch list. Tariff resistant stocks. I wonder how these are doing today. Mixed bag, but some of them are still rocking and rolling here. We got EME, MCore Group up almost 4% today. Carvana up 2.5%. Palo Alto's down a little bit here. Lido, Dollar Tree up 1.6%. We got Paycheck Software. So some big names here. Let's take a look at this EME Group. Look at that. Nice breakout. Big gap up today. Follow through. Full-bodied candlestick. We're approaching the prior swing high back earlier this year in January. So, buying the stock right at a level of resistance from prior swing high, obviously a little tricky. See what price action does. If we can break that prior high, hey, it's showing, continued momentum to the upside. Otherwise, if we see some rejection and you got in the stock a while back ago, again, especially if you're swing trading, not a bad idea to take some profits. But with the buy rating still holding, there's no real reason concerns here. Even the RT relative timing's been ticking up over the last few weeks. You see 3 months, nice lower left, upper right on both price action and RT relative timing. I like what I see here. The app is giving me some great stock picks here just by looking at some of these, watch lists that are provided in the app itself. We got PWR up 0.6%. What's the other big movie here? Carvana, 2.7%. Let's see what we got. I do like that rising earnings over the last year. All right, we got a nice full-body candlestick. Steep sell-off over the last 2 days here. Big body candlesticks to the downside. But as long as we hold this level of support here, just shy of $300, I could get excited on, buying the dip on Carvana. Even with the dip, the buy rating is holding still. Definitely holding. Let's see here. I am doing well with stocks that help folks manage their money and not use credit like Affirm, although they will charge if people don't make the 4 payments. I'm not sure what you mean by that. People don't even understand that import shipments cannot be put on hold because of the letter of credit expiration date. Additionally, warehouse charges and shipping companies will impose daily fees. Yes, they're still going to charge you. Everyone's still charged you. that I don't disagree with. But as far as Carvana here, just looking at it, look at the overvalued of the nature of this position here. We only value the stock at $89. Currently it's trading just over $300. So I would treat it more like a momentum play rather than any kind of value or fundamental play here. Axon, another big mover, enterprise stock. Look at that. Lower left, upper right over the last 12 months. It has become overvalued now. We only value the stock at $200. So again, I'd play the momentum on this position. Even though it is overvalued, you do see the RV, a relative value coming in favor, right? So that's more of a long-term analysis indicator, comparing this investment to an alternative investment, a AAA corporate bond. That with a high safety rating and with the RT at 1.71, letting me know that the bulls are in charge. I like this position. What else is in here? We got Palo Alto. What's going on with Palo Alto here? Not doing a whole lot. Looks like it's getting rejection right at that prior high. There it is. We got the candle wick, upper wick yesterday. Close lower than the open here. Moving averages starting to roll over on us. So if you're holding Palo Alto, if you did some bottom fishing in Palo Alto, just keep that in mind. My cutoff probably around this level right here. Just above 190 would be my support. If we're to break that, definitely would be taking defensive measures from a short-term perspective. What else we got here? Dollar Tree. I'm curious what Dollar Tree's been doing. I know that stock was rocking and rolling for a little bit. Yeah, it went from about $67 now, just over $100 here. We only value the company at $62, so it has greatly been overvalued. You see investors pouring in this position, willing to pay a premium, right? It's kind of turning into a momentum play, right? Not turning, but it has turned into a momentum play. And we had 2 gap fills here. The first gap fill, the second gap fill is here. There we are. And the close that day was 94. So we filled both of those gaps, and the bulls are still marching to the upside. So again, Dollar Tree, I like what I see here. It looks like we even got a little bit of a breakout from some consolidation. Let's go to 1 month. Yeah, so it looks like we had some consolidation here over the last few trading sessions. Look like we're trying to get a breakout today on that. So just keep that in mind. Dollar Tree might get another breakout here pretty soon. Let's take a look at the semiconductors, see how they're responding to the news today. We got Broadcom up down. Ever so slightly, it's pretty flat, but look, Nvidia up, TSM up, AMD is down 0.25% here. Micron also down, 124 down 1%. AMAT is up. We got Lam Research. I'm curious what Lam Research has been doing. Look at the momentum there. The stock was undervalued, but now it's just gone to overvalued territory. Well, it's kind of within the 10% range, so just slightly overvalued. You can see right here it says fully valued. As far as the ratings here, RV, RS, RT, all great ratings. The only one from a technical standpoint is CI, which looks at lengthy or severe price declines. And you can see a lot of the semiconductors, haven't hit a new high in a while. See what AMAT is doing. See CI here, comfort index 0.6, lower than it was 12 months ago, June 2024. But with rising earnings, this stock is currently undervalued. We value it at $230, trading at $183. You can see the momentum recently over the last few months since about April. I like what I see here when it comes to that, but not as much optimism as I'd like. I'd like to see a little bit more optimism in the semiconductors based off of that Chinese news. But like I said, in the report, it seemed pretty early. There wasn't a whole lot of details on it. ARM on that list. I don't think ARM is on this list. Oh, it is. It's right here. Look at ARM. That's actually the big mover today. 4.7%. Whew, ARM is just rocking and rolling again. I talked about ARM from a gap fill. I've done several videos on ARM. Well, if we go to 5 years, I'm not going to see it on this chart. But there's a gap fill. I want to say it was this candlestick right here, right in this time frame, probably about January 2024. Oh, is your 1 year? No. All right. Let's see here. ARM. Any other big movers in the semiconductors today? PI up almost 3%. Seeing some optimism there. Laser Tech over 2%. This is the, see here, ASM International up just over 1%. Majority of the stocks are positive. Texas Instruments positive. Tower Semi, Skyworks slightly positive here. So a mixed bag as far as the sentiment from the potential China deal. We'll see what happens here. Let's take a look at the contras, because I know if you were getting bearish, or if we have been tiptoeing into some bearish positions, especially with the primary wave, these. There we go. You can see all of them taking big hits today. So if you did try to hedge your portfolio, if you're still hedging, again, be disciplined, stay disciplined on those positions, because obviously we could easily march higher going into July. Like I said, I've been talking about that July high. Let's see what crypto's been doing. Riot Platforms up slightly, just shy of 1% here. Hive Digital, not a whole lot of momentum, looks like, when it comes to the crypto stocks here. Here we go. America's 10 safest best performing stocks. Let's see what's in the list here. We got Leonardo, DRS, Viva, Axon, Nintendo, Boston. We got Meta, Netflix, Sony. This actually looks like a pretty good list to go through. Let's take a look at some of these stocks here. Look at that. Lower left, upper right. It's had a buy rating for a while. Nice strong buy rating. Rising earnings. All I will say about this position, it is overvalued right now. The ratings look good, but treat it more like a momentum play rather than a value play. Here's Vive. Again, lower left, upper right. Big gap up, right? So if we start entering that gap, I'd be concerned. But right now, it looks like over the last trading session, even today, we got a bottom wick with a full-bodied candlestick there. But again, just overvalued. That's going to be my warning with this position. Axon, again, same price chart. A lot of momentum over the last 12 months, just overvalued. Here's an undervalued position. Nintendo company, right? It can be rather gappy just because it's overseas. But rising earnings per share, it is undervalued, about $5 undervalued right now. Strong buy rating. I do like that position. We got Boston Scientific Corp coming around 106, up 2% today. Nice full body candlestick on it since it's broke out above that 20-day simple moving average just a few trading sessions ago. So I do like that one as well. Here we've got EME, MCore Group. Nice rally since April here. Full-bodied candlestick. Nice gap up. I like the buy rating here. And look, it's even undervalued still. Even with the big rally we've had, the valuation coming in at 752, rising earnings. This is a great stock candidate here. Meta Platforms. Looks like let me click on this here. Looks like we're approaching those highs from before where we got some rejection with that upper wick back in January here. It looks like the high. Oh, wait, that's EME. This is what I was looking for. Okay, so yeah, we're approaching the highs there. We're getting close to it. Again, just, see if we get rejection at this level. Otherwise, we could get a clear break. Wouldn't be surprised if we got a break and then a retest. So if you feel late to the party on Meta, you could take your shot at potentially a retest here. But with RT, look at RT. It's still rocking and rolling. Hit a new high. Let's zoom in here at RT. Let's go to 3 months. Yeah, both of them. Nice, steady uptrend on both price action and our proprietary indicator RT relative timing here. You can see RT went favorable back in May. It looks like mid-May there on May 12th. RT finally went favorable, and since then it's just been off to the races. The stock was in the 600s, but now it's well into the 700s here. Holding Meta, buy on weakness. I like Meta, especially a tariff play, whatever you want to call it. But I just like Meta in general. I like Meta, I like Netflix. Cannot lie. And Meta, I think, was undervalued, but now you can see approaching its value here. So we put it in the fairly valued category. I've done a lot of shorts on Meta. It's been a while. But when I look at the QQQ watch list and I resort them by most undervalued stocks, Meta's appeared in that short I've done several times. I think the last time was probably last fall, maybe late last summer. And you can see price action. And man, it's been rocking and rolling lately. Other than obviously the general pullback with the market at the beginning of this year, other than that, the chart looks pretty. Let's see here. What else we got? Quantum computing stocks. Let's take a look at quantum real quick. We got NVIDIA, TSM, AMD, AMAT. Let's find some Qtum, Defiance Quantum here. That one is up about 1% today. Qualcomm, IO and Q showing some momentum to the upside, 1.78%. We got Honeywell to the upside. I really like Honeywell. Let's take a look here. Looks like it's becoming fully valued here. And I think Honeywell is just a good industrial company to own in general. The ratings are good on it. Here's Rigetti. That one's up, showing the most momentum today so far, up 2.38%. Again, these stocks, they're, for the most part, a lot of these quantum stocks can be speculative in nature. Definitely overvalued. You can see the earnings there, negative. So treat it like a momentum trade. It's still below the 20-day SMA, so I can't get too bullish on the position right now. You see Atom down today, WeMe down today a little bit. Let's see here. What is QSI doing? I know QSI is making some big moves. QSI is still above $2 here. Still rocking and rolling. I do like QSI. I see it's overvalued now at 130. It was undervalued not too long ago. Now, the only thing here, obviously, you're not getting safety here. You're not getting much long-term value here. And even in the comfort index, you're not probably going to get too comfortable buying this one. It's quantum, right? So the only thing working for is the RT, that momentum. So play to the momentum, stick to the chart, not your heart. All right, I want to look at Spotify real quick. Spotify up 0.5% here. That's beautiful. Lower left, upper right. I remember I did a video on Spotify. It did nothing for a while. I think it was way ahead of the curve here. Yeah, I want to say probably around this time frame, October. Because, yeah, that makes sense. Because, me, I like a good break on a downward trend line. And that would have been around that time. I did that video. And didn't really do anything for a couple months. But you could see, Spotify went from $100 not too long ago. Now it's approaching $800. Let's see what we value it at. We value it at $253, so it is greatly overvalued. But one thing I do like about it, and I've even said with this, compared it to, or I will compare it to Hood. Hood, was overvalued, but it still had an RV above 1. So, if I do want to get into a stock, longer term goals, essentially, and the stock is overvalued, I'd at least want to get into an overvalued stock with an RV above 1. Let's see here. ABC says spot 10x since 2022 low. Yeah, it wasn't. But like I said, I don't think that many people watched the video. But I just kind of, I thought it had some good potential there. And we see it's been rock and rolling. What other ones we got here? All right, that was Quantum. Let's take a look at gold here. Because I imagine with the deal with China, the whole tariff situation, rumors of a deal. Again, unless you guys got an update, but I haven't really gotten a huge update on that. But CNBC says there has been a deal struck between both places, or both parties here, between China and the United States. As far as these gold stocks taking hits today, gold is definitely taking a hit today. If you're holding some gold as a hedge, just stick to the plan you had in place, stick to your stops. But we are seeing weakness in gold, right? We're going from, again, the risk off to the risk on situation. Now, with MTI so high, looking at some safe stocks with buy ratings, not a bad idea. Again, DRS, Axon, Nintendo. Let's see what other ones we got here. Sony. What's what Centus is doing? Centus looks like it's approaching that 20-day moving average here. I see the momentum to the upside. We got a double top. If we could take out that resistance right above us. Nice candlestick today. Looks like buyers are coming in. But I'd look for that confirmation to be around 230 here. As long as RT stays above 1, we get price action and breakout above that double top formation here. I would get a little bit more comfortable getting into it. But right now, not as far as a buyer. If you hold the position, I wouldn't run out and sell it right now. It is an up day today. But if we see much more of a pullback, especially if we break this level of support right here, which is going to put us here probably about 215 if I had to guess. All right. See what the market is doing here. Let's go back to the market overview and we'll get some stock picks. Let's go to VectorVest. Yeah, you see the intraday chart. I mean, just continuing that climb to the upside here. About to approach, again, session highs. There we go. Oh, we're at session highs here on the intraday chart. Rocking and rolling. I had a feeling that deal would overshadow the PCE data. Dow Jones, steady Eddie to the upside. The NASDAQ, not as not as much optimism, not as smooth as the other two charts, but still showing us continued momentum throughout the day. That buyers are in control for the most part here. A couple dips, but those dips pretty short-lived, you can see. All right, let's take a look at Palantir, and then we'll get some stock picks. Palantir here. Whoa, down 5%, 138 here. Let's go to 3-month chart. That's going to be my support level here because this was the channel that it was in. The top of that channel here. Around 135. You got a couple of dollars here. But if it breaks and goes back into that channel, I definitely would have Palantir on my radar. Potentially get defensive. But if it broke back to the downside of that channel here, right around 120, definitely would get more defensive. But as of right now, all I'm seeing is lower left, upper right. That's the trend. RT still in our favor. But, just be careful because stock is overvalued. And it has been volatile in nature. But as of right now, not, the biggest concern. It is down, 5%. Anybody know the news on why it might be down today? How about uranium? That's actually another good one we should look at. Let's see here. Let's go. Let's do Energy fuels. Down today, down 4%. They do they have exposure. Let's see here. That was a rare earth. Let's do the Global X uranium ETF here. Get a sense. Down 1% today. So not like a big move to the downside, but definitely a down day for uranium. And let's take a look at some of these other. We got UAMY, the rare earth. See how that holding up today. Again, look, down 11%. I've been telling you, if there looks like a deal, I am not surprised by it down being 11%. So again, the question that was asked before, would I sell UAMY? I would most absolutely be getting defensive on UAMY. I mean, you got a strong level support here coming in if we go at 6 months. And that's my cutoff right there. And you can see the bottom wick. If you haven't sold it yet, if we can get a close above that support zone, showing that buyers are coming in at that support zone, hey, maybe see what happens. But initially, I mean, look, RT, cross below 1. Let's see here. Let's go to 1 month chart. So the trend in investors are already getting nervous of a China deal, right? Right before the China deal, potentially came out. Again, we'll have to get the details on that as more information comes out. But yes, rare earths, I would be getting defensive, right? Now, if we hear any, updates that the, China deal fell through, something of that nature, yeah, these are probably going to rebound pretty quickly, if I had to guess. Let's go to USAR. USAR also down 11% today. So yes, get defensive. There is a new news about purchase by USAMY. Wow, Wildland, new highs every day. Sell calls on that one, way above the stock. Yeah, UAM1, I'd be getting more defensive now. I'd have to take a look and see about that news. But I know they had, I think it was Alaska. They finally got some permits or whatever. I think it was UAMY. They got some good permitting in Alaska for mine. All right, let's take a look. We did uranium. We did the rare earths. Oh, yes, yesterday on the live stream, I did SOXL. Not only on the potential for a Chinese deal, but also because yields were dropping yesterday, right? If we take a look today, the semiconductors, I mean, they're pretty flat. And we saw that looking through the semiconductor list, pretty mixed. Exactly flat now, right at 25.20. So not a whole lot of optimism there when it comes to semiconductors, but definitely some bearish sentiment when it comes to the rare earth, critical mineral, those type of plays. China's restrictions, obviously, if the deal is met, will be eased, right? Putting less pressure on these companies. I wouldn't say sleep on these companies. I think these companies will show some good opportunities going forward. When rare earths and all that stuff isn't in the forefront of the news. Because at some point, the whole goal is to be less reliant on China. So that's, so the government's still going to be investing in these companies. There's still going to be growth opportunities in these companies. And the valuation, I just want to show you the valuation of UAMY. Has just been rocketing lately. It's actually, UAMY, there we go. Value 260. The stock is undervalued, right? When I first started talking about this, stock was about right. About right here, when it broke out of this descending price pattern here, descending channel, broke out to the upside. But that valuation, let's see here. I think, show value. Look how much it is climbing, right? So you could see the importance of this company. So again, the stock was way overvalued, into the threes, approaching $4. But now with this sell-off, you are getting some valuation with this company. So just see if it holds at this support level. But again, I think some better opportunities will probably present itself, in the future. But as of right now, with that momentum to the downside, I'm going to have to say no. And even looking at the long-term trend, if you just drew a trend line on the bottom of these, see if we're still in that long-term trend to the upside, right? But yeah, if you're holding UAMY, get defensive, because I started talking about it with 70 cents, 70, 80 cents, and it went all the way up to, about 370, 380 here. So I'm not sure exactly where you bought it, but if you're at a loss right now, I'd be more inclined to just, mitigate that loss. And if you're in a profit right now, still, even after the sell-off, protect the profits. Protect them profits right now, because as details come out about the rare earths in China, giving us rare earths and that stuff, that's not going to help these companies most likely. All right, let's do some stock picks here. Watch list. Let's go to watch list here. All right. How many likes do we have here today? All right, go ahead, that like button. I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to hit that like button. Give you about 30 seconds. Hims is moving back up. I like that buying pressure we saw in Hims yesterday. I'm going to actually put Hims in the list here. I'll take a look at Hims. All right, hit that like button again. I'm going to hold to Glenn's rule. For every 10 likes, you do get a stock pick here. And right now, we are at 42 likes, 44 likes. Can we hit 50 likes? You guys want 5 stocks? All right. We got 5 stocks here. So Hims is on me. So the first 5 that came through is POWL, AZ, Disney, and EVGO. Oh, we need one more because Hims was on me. Ryan, how about Way 41 GRT? Talking about the stock Way. And we had SEDG. And I'll put in Way since you'd asked about that one here. Waystar. All right, create the watch list. We'll just do 06. I think it's 27, right? Yeah, 27. All right, look at this. POW at the top of the list, coming at 1.4 overall VST rating. We've got AZ second place here. I've never heard of that company or not too familiar with it. But look, up 5%. Big movers today. POW up 7%. Hims trying to claw back some of those losses here. Up 7% today. Waystar up just shy of 3%. The 2 losers down the bottom also having unfavorable VST scores. Those would be the ones I'd be getting a little bit more defensive about. Let's go ahead and jump in and see what the VectorVest 7 system. Let's see here. Now this looks like a nice bottom fishing opportunity on this position. We got some buy ratings appearing more. Undervalued. We valued at $339. Right now it's only trading at $214. So you are getting a great sense of value here. As far as the proprietary indicators, everything looks good. The only one here, CI. Since we're not hitting new highs right now, that's why the CI is low. So not too surprised by that. But you can see a lot of resistance levels. We just broke through all those levels. Now we've got some support out of that consolidation zone here. The support zone around $200, right? So if you get a retest there, I wouldn't be too surprised by that. But right now, that's a big move to the upside. Let's look at that candlestick today. Yes, big body candlestick, breakout to the upside, value starting to tick up as well over the last few trading sessions. I actually like this position quite a bit here. Again, up 7% today, so if you like some momentum, might not be a bad one for you. Let's take a look at AZ. Now, this nice steady eddy, lower left, upper right, strong buy rating. Haven't had a hold rating since April. It is overvalued. We value at $8.40. Currently, it's trading at $10.50. It's up 4%, almost 50 cents today. That's a big move. RV above 1. So, again, if it's overvalued, I'd like to see an RV above 1. The stock's weakness is going to be the safety rating. You see the safety rating coming in below 1. But if you're okay with a strong trend, I like what I see here. And the comfort index, giving me a little bit more. I kind of like to refer CI as like the safety rating, but for the technical side, right? It's almost a safety of technicals. While RS, relative safety, is more so, the safety of the fundamental analysis. Kind of the easiest way to, differentiate those or explain comfort index. It's almost like the safety of the technicals. But I like what I see. I mean, lower left, upper right. Why overthink it? And the earnings per share was negative 12 months ago, but now is positive and still continuing to climb here. Late to the dance today. Hope you are doing well. Thank you, Roger. I appreciate that. Powell says touching the 200-day moving average. Okay. Yeah, on that dip. Let's see here. When you get a chance, if you're thinking about buying Powell, look at that 200-day moving average, right? Because that could be seen as a level of resistance in the near future. Disney still continuing to climb. Is that back in the 120s here? Up over $1, 1% here. The only thing with Disney, again, relative safety, not favorable. And the comfort index. So just from a safety perspective, both fundamentally and from a technical perspective, not the best ratings. Otherwise, the valuation is right on par, fairly valued. We valued at 126. Right now it's at 122. So slightly under our valuation here. Ryan isn't dancing. He didn't even sing today. I'm not a singer. I'm definitely not a singer. Maybe one day I'll sing. Hymns. Let's see how this is coming back here. Oh, yes. Let's go to the chart here. That's the resistance I was worried about. I had a feeling we might hit this resistance level before we felt the gap. You can see the upper wick starting to form on hymns right now. So if you haven't gotten into this position, I'd get it back above that resistance level. Take out today's prior wick before jumping in or doing some bottom fishing. Now, if you did buy the bottom here, hey, that $40 support zone, that would be where I'd start to get a little nervous if we got closer to that. But right now, one thing I will say, look at RT relative timing. Just went back into favorable territory. So if that RT can hold above 1 going forward, you might just have a good bottom fishing candidate or good buy the dip scenario with this position. But let's take a look at him's valuation because I see it's rather flat here. Just over 20 bucks, $22 right now. The stock's trading at 49, so it's definitely overvalued. If we look at the ratings here, but look, RV above 1. So if I'm in an overvalued stock, I want to have an RV above 1. So I like this here. Rising earnings. CI showing me that from a technical standpoint, this stock has the ability to resist lengthy or severe price declines, right? So that being said, most people are worried about the price decline, that big gap down we saw not too long ago, right? That CI rating is telling me, hey, this stock might be a good candidate potentially to do some bottom fishing on, right? Or, buy the dip scenario with that CI rating, especially with the market rising right now. But again, from a chart perspective, that's the level I'm looking at. That's what I mentioned. I think it was yesterday or Wednesday on the live stream here that we might hit that before getting the whole gap fill. How high is the maximum allowed for VV for MTI? It's on a 0 to 2 scale. I don't think I've ever seen it at 2. I think maybe the highest was like the 1.6s, 1.7s. I know Steve Chappell said it's gone to 1.8 sometimes. If I had to guess, it was probably shortly after COVID when, interest rates were 0 and there was a lot of money in the market and we saw that huge rally shortly after COVID. It would probably be the, look at an MTI chart, look at a market timing chart around that time. But again, the MTI, even though it's elevated levels right now, look at that primary wave. That's going to be the first wave of signal of weakness. But honestly, the DEW was what I'm personally looking at right now, and it's kept us in on that last little breather about 2 weeks ago. We still got a DEW up signal right now. So yeah, ultimately it's also telling me that, buying stocks right now, upside potential is now being outweighed by downside risk, right? Doesn't mean that there's no upside potential. Just means that, expect it to be shorter lived than if you were to buy a stock, with MTI at much lower levels, right? And we can get some choppiness. But again, with the China deal, potential India deal coming out, let me look on CNBC real quick. Ooh, where is my mouse? There we go. Let me see if there's any updates here. Because that's really what's going to move the market. I saw the PCE data ticked up a little bit. But I think that, China confirms details of U.S. trade deals. One of the top headlines I see here. China says it will review and approve eligible licenses for its items subject to export control rules. The U.S. will correspondingly cancel a range of existing restrictive measures imposed against Beijing, right? Again, they want our computer chips. We want their rare earths. Doesn't have to be much more complicated than that. That's the trade, right? But it looks like there might be some kind of agreement. It's not too detailed in this article, but again, this information is just coming out here, so we'll take a look at it. So probably by next week. Today's Friday, but definitely over the weekend by next week on the live streams. I have a feeling we'll have a lot to talk about there, and we'll get all updated. Bill says MTI was at 1.82 post COVID-19. Okay, I had a feeling that would be the time most likely where MTI would be at its highest point, at least in the last 5 years or so. But yeah, that's pretty high. So it can get higher, right? So again, just know if you are going to buy stocks with MTI this high, you just got to be disciplined. As long as you're disciplined, it shouldn't be a problem, right? As long as you're buying when there's green lights, if we stop seeing green lights, if we get the primary wave down, obviously have that on your attention. If we get the DEW down signal, then I would definitely, you can do things like tightening stops, covered calls, whatever you think, might work in a defensive strategy. They're all, kind of going to work in conjunction of each other. Yes, I buy on news also. Is Joey buying stocks with the MTI this high? Ooh, man. We got to look at that JPI, that Joey Perfect Indicator. I don't know what Joey's buying right now. We shall see. Let's see here. Let's go back. What other stocks we got here? Oh, we got Waystar Holding Group. I mean, this looks like a nice steady Eddie stock too, especially, from a long-term perspective. Nice lower left, upper right. You're not buying at a high, a little bit of a dip here, but I'm seeing some optimism in that dip. The company is overvalued, but with RT relative time, let's see here. RT just going back into favorable territory. You see the consolidation here. Let's get out of this consolidation area. Let's get that confirmation we're looking for, right? Because otherwise, right now, you're just kind of playing a guessing game. But you can see the sideways moving action. About $42. That would give me a little bit more confirmation that I'd like to see. But with the RT just crossing above 1, fresh buy rating as of today, I would definitely, wouldn't look past way. Could get a nice little breakout here. And you can see that prior high coming in closer to $50. So definitely some room to run there if it does break out to the upside. Now this position here, a little bit more riskier than the average bear in the database. RS coming in below 1. But all the other indicators got nice strong ratings. Obviously the RT, barely favorable, but it is favorable right now, but is still in that channel, right? Still in that consolidation zone. So just keep that in mind. Wait for the breakout. Have some patience. That might actually work out pretty well. Here we've got Solar Edge. Again, this stock is down lower than it was 12 months ago. Earnings per share not only on the decline, but went negative and has been dropping pretty fast here. Not much for, a lot of choppiness here. I wouldn't even really get too excited about this stock, until we took out the prior high, or at least even this high, this level of resistance right here. Currently trading at 1942. The stock is down 3% today. But again, this is a volatile stock, and with value on the decline, price action on the decline, this is not the type of stock that I like to see. And, now the stock is overvalued as well. So I can't get too excited about some of that stuff. Here we've got EVgo. Look at that. It looks like it wanted to try to do a little cup formation here. Nice little rounded cup, but looks like it gave up early on that cup formation. Earnings per share, still negative. I do like the rising. I'd look for this stock, if I can get that earnings per share into positive territory, giving something, giving investors something to be enthusiastic about. But this is the problem. The valuation's 29 cents. It's trading over 10 times our valuation at $3.80. I mean, the stock was, look when it was way overvalued here, up at $8. Right? I cannot get excited about that. Now, if you did some bottom fishing on this, hey, as long as that RT could stay above 1, and the short-term price trend is in the favor of the bulls, there might be some money to be made here. But it being on a down day and just the analysis not, very enthusiastic, I should say, I think there's a lot better stocks, potentially choose from when it comes to the market itself. SEDG got whacked on dropping of solar credits, and the big bill, has recovered nicely. EV, renewable energies, a lot of credits, that are not gonna be subsidized. And me personally, I think that's fine. I don't think the government should be subsidizing. I don't think with $37 trillion in debt, we need to be subsidizing much of anything these days, right? I want to see that debt. I want to see that debt get a handle on it. We'll see what happens though. Losing faith on that. But that being said, though, we're seeing optimism in the market. Most of these stocks here doing good for the most part. Solar Edge, Evgo, definitely get more defensive on those. RT's not favorable, or sorry, VSTs are not favorable right now. Let's finish up, see where the market's taking us with the last few minutes here. Oh, and again, we are doing, Rock says I'm a bag holder on EVGO. And what price did you buy EVGO? Or what price are you dollar cost average, I should say? You shouldn't be doing that. Government shouldn't be subsidizing billionaires either. Hey, I put the list of everything on the subsidies. Let the free market do the free market, But that's just me. And with $36 trillion and it growing, I'm not gonna, no subsidies. Nope, no subsidies. If you can't survive off the free market, then it shouldn't be, right? That's my personal opinion. And I'm not saying anything bad about wind or alternative energy. I do get the value in that. I just don't, we're way too far in debt to be subsidizing things. We need to be tackling that debt. Let's see here. Where market overview, that's how I want to finish. We can see the market starting to trace a little bit from those previous highs here, but coming back. Let's see here, one day. There we go. A little bit of retracement there. As far as the Dow Jones, we got several levels of support coming in the near future for my day traders. I'd look for the pivot off of those levels of support. Let's see what the Nasdaq's got today. Nasdaq here looks like final level support coming off these highs here. You can see that level, touched it, bouncing back off. So again, the Nasdaq even looks like it's breaking that downward trend line from its most recent price action. It looks like just before I started the live stream here, the market's been going down. But it looks like it was finding a nice level of support here. Let's take out that prior swing high for some confirmation and see if we can finish out higher throughout the day. And we're going to finish with the VectorVest composite. Do the broad market here. Let's get rid of our valuation. I'm just going to skew it. There we are. Look at that. Nice momentum, just like the Qs are very similar to it here. I'm seeing a level of support coming in from the prior swing high. Right now, we're right above that. That's going to bring us around 72.60. So, another cent or two to the downside. Hopefully, the broad market can find a level of support here. We'll see exactly. Wyland, if you graph EPS on the chart, it looks great. Marvin did a super chat. There was a super chat? Oh, I didn't see it. Sorry, I was looking at, because I'm on the mobile today. I'm looking at the iPad, not necessarily. Oh, sorry, Marvin. Sorry about that. I apologize, bud. Because on the mobile streams, the chat, on a separate window, so I didn't look at that. Sorry about that. While in here, let's see. Vista shares, Animal Spirits. What is that? What is Animal Spirits? It's double leverage. I do like that here. Let's see here. So it's an ETF because it's going to be fully valued here. Relative time. Let's go to 6 months. Indicator, lower graph. You said the earnings per share? Yeah, it's going to be flat. Oh, let me get back down here. Oh, gotcha. I see WLDN. I was like, I don't know what stock that or what ETF. I've never heard of that one before. Maybe I just got Wyland on the mind, right? But here's I'll just call it Wilden Group here. Look at that earnings per share. It went from about less than 150, it's almost doubled in the last 12 months here. The valuation is coming in fairly valued here. RVRS, great analysis from the VectorVest 7 software here. Does have an upcoming earnings date next month. Keep that in mind, July 31st. Earnings yield 3.98%. Earnings growth rate 27%. Sales growth rate 24%. This thing's rocking and rolling. Let's go in the chart here. Let's add the valuation. If value's on the rise with price action, I'm going to get real excited. And it is. Look at that. So value on the decline on the first half of that chart. So the first 3 months, price action pretty stagnant. But once value started ticking up, you see price action ticking up with it. I mean, I like this. This actually looks really good. Nice jump in earnings per share over the last 6 months. I wouldn't be too, if we do get a pullback, Marvin, I'm going to look right here. This little doji, the opens around $57. That's where I want to see price action stay above, right? If it breaks much below this, definitely get a little bit more defensive there. But as far as this position, yeah, I know, Mark, I don't know when you bought it at, but I want to be necessarily in a rush to sell it right now. If you were swing trading it, maybe just utilize that DEW signal or whatever stops you had in place. But I mean, the stock was $30. You're up a bag right now. If you got in near that low, I mean, you got a bag, not in the making, but it's produced a bag. But just overall, let's go to the 5-year chart here. Yeah, since about, you see it was overvalued for a little bit, but then value just started rocketing. So really, yeah, about the last year, 2023. So the past 2 years, it's just been value on the rise, price action on the rise, right? I see that's the overall trend right now. I like what I see here when it comes to this position. Yeah, this one I wouldn't be too concerned about right now, but that little candlestick right there, about $57, that's where I'd want to see price action stay above. If we get a retest on that, hey, is what it is. But I want to see it stay above the $57. Other than that, and this looks like a great position. You can use the 20-day as a trailing stop or a 10-15% trailing stop price. Yeah, I don't know, Marvin, if you were swing trading this, had since March, hold it. March. So March is going to put you around $40. So you're probably up about 50%. If that CI rating is high, RS is high, so we shouldn't get too many gaps. The earnings was next. Oh. No. Why is the earning? Oh, there it goes. It was skewed a little bit here. I think it was in July. Yes, July 31st. So I'm not going to be too concerned about a big gap down. Yeah, Roger, I'm going to say let it roll. Maybe tighten the trail up, Marvin. I don't know what kind of trail you have, but, if you got a 15-20% trail on it, maybe tighten it to like a 7-10%. But I'd put a trail on that thing. I mean, you already got one in the bag. If it hits the trailing stop, it's up to you, but you can either, play with house money going forward, kind of like Glenn did with Palantir, or you can close it out altogether. I'll let that up to you, but yeah, I'm on Roger's thing. As long as there's not earnings, we got the potentially a China deal, potential for the July high scenario to come in place. That stock's not giving me any red flags, to exit the position or anything right now. But yeah, trailing stop, 20-day EMA. If you want to tighten it up to an 8-day, because I know the 20-day you might lose a little bit more than expected. But hey, I actually really like this position here. I don't know. Anybody else in Wild? Oh. Yeah. On what industry this is in? That's my other. Heavy construction. Okay. Interesting. It's a construction company. As far as market cap, you're looking just shy of $1 billion. I like this a lot. Trading on the NASDAQ XO. Yeah, no, and there's no real reason concern here. If you do get a severe pullback on this stock, this would be the main level I'd be looking at, right at 50 from this prior swing high here that I'm trying to click on. There we go. The high was $50 even. Right now you're at 61. So if we do get a severe pullback in the stock or, big unexpected gap down, that's probably where I can find a level of support here. But other than that, yeah, great stock pick. Great stock pick. Everyone put some ones in the rooms for Marvin because, to get a bag since March, we all know that's always the goal, but not always achievable. Good job, Marvin. And honestly, you're probably going to get a couple more bucks out of it if I had to guess. All right, everybody. It's 1 o'clock. You know what that time it is. Time to wrap it up. Join us. We're going to be in the Power Hour in the community room here in just about an hour at 2 o'clock. I will see you guys there. I'm glad I'm feeling better today. But yes, give Marvin some credit where credit is due. Everybody, enjoy your week in case I'm not going to see you in the Power Hour room here in a little bit. And I will see you guys on Monday. Take care.